woman.
Good morning, this is Joe Condon. Welcome to Albany Street. As you know, the Albany International Airport is currently displaying the National Women's Hall of Fame exhibit, saluting the accomplishments of numerous contemporary and historical women. This morning, to coincide with that theme, we'd like to salute and review the career of one of the most influential and respected broadcast programmers in the nation, who happens to be a woman, Ruth Meyer, New York. Ruth, today a broadcast consultant and much in-demand speaker, receives high praise from Joseph Riley, president of the New York State Broadcasters.
Ruth was a real power at a time when women weren't recognized.
For a woman to be running a major radio station in the 1960s had to be very unique.
It was, at the time, Ruth Meyer was a very powerful woman, and she would have been successful in any era. If you're referring to the fact that women weren't given the chance to succeed, that part is true, but women were always strong and bright and intelligent, and it was a male-dominated world, and they weren't given the opportunities. And some of the more powerful women, and more talented women, like Ruth Meyer, emerged despite discrimination.
Thank you, Mr. Riley, and now it's my honor to introduce Ruth Meyer, a broadcast legend and a national treasure. You were one of the first. You were a pioneer for women.
Yes, I think so. In a major market, would be true. And in New York, I was the first woman program director.
When you became a program director of WMCA, you were battling WMGM, WINS, and WABC. And that's when you had Alan Freed and Murray the K and those people. What was that like in New York?
It was a lot of fun.
One of your WMCA good guys, the late Jack Spector, during a radio show on WCBS-FM in New York, talked about taking the good guy concept from WABC.
Dan said the other night at the cocktail party, he said, we were the good guys first, which is true. Actually, they weren't. It was KFWB in Los Angeles, and it was a slogan. It was like a throwaway line, like, all the news that's fit to print. And they threw the line away. They did nothing with it. And Ruth Meyer, who was our esteemed program director, I was driving with her in a car one evening, and she said, they're doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong. And she had this whole vision of the good guys with a picture and the face on the good guy sweatshirt, which was the forerunner of the smile buttons you see today. But those are, with the little thing hanging over the forehead, the little curly Q there. And we just did it. We did it great, and they dropped it immediately.
Ruth Meyer, you made the WMCA Good Guys a team. Tell us about that.
It just struck me that if we were going to be the good guys, and we did everything together, and each guy was individual, but they all had this clout as one big unit. We went to, if we would go to a record club bash or a record company bash, the guys wouldn't just drift in one at a time. They'd wear their good guy sweatshirts, black pants, and we'd all show up together. And it would completely demoralize the competition. So it had a lot of effect.
Before we take a break, why do you think WMCA New York, under your leadership, became not only one of the top rock and roll radio stations in the country, but one of the top radio stations in the United States of America?
I think it was because we were very real. We weren't so busy being professional that we didn't have any fun with it. We knew why we did things, but we had fun with it, and we always respected our audience. We were just enormously creative and funny and goofy, and we just fit the market.
Indeed you did. Sunday morning, Albany Street. I'm Joe Condon, and we're delighted to have with us Ruth Meyer, one of the most influential and respected broadcast programmers in the United States of America. Ruth, as a woman who ran the NBC radio network, programmed successfully WMCA in New York City, and you're now a broadcast consultant, what advice do you give program directors as to how they should run a successful radio station?
Value talent and treat them right. Don't have talent that are bad folks. Nurture them and let them know you respect them and encourage them to behave as though they wanted to be respected. Try to develop a good rapport. Don't order them. Don't let them run you either.
Well, Ruth, we got a little bit of surprise for you right now. Joining us is National Fight Back television personality David Horowitz, who remembers working for you.
I was the public affairs director, which meant that I was the servant of the program director, who was Ruthie Meyer. But I liked working with Ruth because Ruth was the consummate pro in rock music. She handled a corral of good guys that would be enough to be able to defeat an army of Romans with spears with their bare hands and their voices. It was incredible what talent she had and how she was able to keep all these guys not only on the air, but that station, WMCA, was number one in the market because of Ruthie. And this lady knew more about music and more about programming and more about grabbing audience than anyone that I've known in my professional career.
Okay, Ruth, in the remaining moments, let's listen to some of those creative people and talk about your WMCA good guys, starting with BMR, B. Mitchell Reed.
Oh, wow. One of the most talented men I have ever worked with in my whole life, and I've ever heard anywhere else. Just dynamite, and nutty is the devil.
All right. I am your leader. Our leader. Yeah. And 25 the elevator WMCA, the hits keep coming with B. Mitchell Reed in the wide, weird world. Our WMCA, swinging, grooviest, kookiest, sure shot of the wicked rumble. Jack
He lived, I think, about 3 blocks from the station, and he would drive to work in New York traffic to be on the air at 7 o'clock at night. And he'd always come gasping in, I couldn't find a place to park, and you were almost sure he was gonna miss the show or come in late.
Joe O'Brien, he was Ruth Meyer's good guy morning man at WMCA. Tell us about him.
He's probably the most versatile and talented broadcaster I ever worked with. He could do anything. And because he had started way back in the olden days with soaps and all kinds of things like that, he had such knowledge and such good instincts that I relied on him enormously for just to hang things together. And everybody liked him. He had no ego at all.
Well, let's listen to Joe O'Brien when he worked for Ruth Meyer, waking up WMCA listeners.
The in-crowd, Dolby Gray, number 10. And don't forget, Dandy Dan will have the brand new Top 25 for you this afternoon, as he does every Wednesday from 4 to 7 after Jolly Jack Spector. Are you playing Word Bird with Jack? He gives away $5.70 several times every afternoon, and you can have a lot of laughs, too. 21 minutes to 9 o'clock on the Joe O'Brien Show. Oh, we got a secretary here a couple of weeks ago. What a remarkable, amazing girl she is. She's been here 2 weeks, mind you, and she's already a month behind on her work.
You had a high-energy radio station, Ruth Meyer. Ruth Meyer, you hired Harry Harrison at WMCA. He went from WMCA to WABC in New York City, and now he's doing mornings on WCBS-FM in New York, working for Joe McCoy. What is the secret of this man's longevity?
Well, he is just so professional, and he knows what he's doing, and he's personable, and he always thinks in terms of the audience. And so many air personalities don't. They're so caught up in what they're doing and what's happening around them, and they're inwardly looking instead of remembering about the audience and what's important to the audience.
Let's listen to Harry Harrison now, working for Ruth Meyer at WMCA.
See Teenage Mother now at theaters all over town. Check your local newspaper for a theater near you.
It's the Harry Harrison Show.
Just how important is good food to you? You say you can take it or leave it? If that's your answer, you haven't eaten at Nathan's, where wonderful things are done with franks and French fries, pizza and fried chicken, seafood, other things he'll talk about for a week. Now, naturally, they serve a lot of Coca-Cola there. People demand it. Nathan says the best food deserves the best refreshment. Ice cold Coca-Cola, of course. You never get tired of the taste of Coke. Things like juicy hot dogs and Nathan's golden French fries. Definitely go better with Coca-Cola. New Yorkers know this, and you know it too. So whether you eat to live or live to eat, you'll enjoy eating at Nathan's. 3 convenient locations. One out in Coney Island. Morning, Coney. Another on Central Avenue in Yonkers. And a third in Oceanside, Long Island. Everybody all right there? And all 3, things go better with Coke. After Coke, after ice cold Coca-Cola. 1910 Fruit Gum Company, 1, 2, 3, red light.
Ruth Meyer, we only have time for one more question. How would you like to be remembered?
I guess, I don't know. I was very fortunate to work with some enormously talented guys, and I guess I sort of grew up in broadcasting with them. I think I did a lot of very imaginative things, and I don't think anybody has ever been any better than I was at handling talent, because I didn't handle them. I just loved them.
It has been an honor to meet you.
Well, thank you. It was awfully nice of you to spend your time with me.
To spend time with a legend. Wow. You've been listening to Albany Street on a Sunday morning. I'm Joe Condon, and our guest has been Ruth Meyer, one of the most influential and respected broadcast programmers in the United States of America. And she's still a broadcast consultant.